Hey again, guys. Justin here, back for another video, another exciting, fun video. Now, this topic is actually kind of a cool topic. I always was fascinated by, especially growing up as a kid. I mean, I'm 36 now, but when I was a little kid growing up, Santa Claus always meant so much to me. I was always like, oh man, try to stay up all night long, wait for Santa on Christmas Eve, Christmas morning to arrive. And it was just always a really cool time of year for me. I still enjoy Christmas time and the New Year holiday and all of that. But I've said before, I probably enjoy New Year holiday now more than I do the Christmas holiday. And I think it's mainly because when I was a kid, obviously, eventually my parents had to tell me Santa Claus doesn't exist, or does he, or did he? I should change that. This video is a request somebody was asking me in the email section about the myths, the legends, and the truths about Santa Claus, Kris Kringle, St. Nicholas, old St. Nick, on, was he real? Did he exist? Is he all just a fabrication, made up character? Well, yes and no. Partly yes, fake, partly no, he was real. Just going through the email here. Hi, Justin. St. Nick always fascinated me. I'm just reading the email, guys. St. Nick always fascinated me. Growing up, he was always, someone that I looked up to. Same as me. That's why I like doing this video. Lots of people talk about the myths, the fairy tales of St. Nicholas, Santa Claus. What was, real about him? What was fake about him? Was there anything similar to, the so-called commercial myths, stories about St. Nick? Reindeer and all of that from the North Pole, everything. Okay, in short, to answer your question, St. Nicholas was real. He was a saint. I mean, hence the name, St. Nicholas. But yeah, he was a saint. Let's see here. I was going to pull up some information about St. Nick. Yeah, St. Nicholas was actually from Turkey. But he was way back. He was born in the year 2000, or not 2000, excuse me, the year 270. 270. And then he passed away in the year 343 at age 73. So he passed away, what? Almost 1700 years ago, St. Nick. But yeah, he was a real saint. Very religious, obviously. Now, obviously, he didn't do all the crazy stuff like in the movies and in the Christmas storybooks about Santa Claus. Obviously, he didn't have reindeer. Flying reindeer. Obviously, he wasn't from the North Pole. Obviously, he didn't have, magical, special elves and the ability to know what kids want for Christmas. All of that stuff. Obviously, he didn't have all of that. That part's the fictional part about St. Nick. However, the real St. Nick, real St. Nicholas, like I said, he was a saint, very, very, very religious. He was, I believe, Catholic. And basically, his story was, in short, to kind of summarize it, because I don't want to make like an hour-long video talking about it. I mean, there's some topics I want to spend like more time on, but I also like to get as many videos in and as many subjects in and topics in as I can without making it to the point where you guys are falling asleep on me. Anyways, the story goes with St. Nick, to summarize it. His family, I believe it was his parents, from the research I was doing, was kind of wealthy. They had, they were well-to-do. They had plenty of, food, supplies, money. Back then, a lot of it was probably gold. I mean, you're talking this was 1700 years ago. we're getting close to almost the times of Christ, 1700 years. Um, they was very well off. They had a lot of resources, money, and I guess when they passed away, Saint Nick, of course, I think he, pretty much inherited all of their wealth, all of their wealth. And instead of Saint Nick keeping the money, the wealth, everything all to himself, all the different golds, the riches, he decided to make a difference in his community, in society, and help out less fortunate people. That included children, even adults, grown adults that were less fortunate. And something else that I found funny, the third thing, not really funny but interesting, he even helped out women that was really hard up for money, and I guess even back in those days, women were sometimes trying to basically sell their body, kind of like prostitution, what we have today, only back then it was probably a little different. He would try to help them out, even give them money, that way they didn't have to do that kind of dirty lifestyle anymore. And so basically, Saint Nick, I mean, he basically was really, in essence, a real saint. Literally, no pun intended, he was a saint. He believed in helping as many people out as he could. During which started the whole thing, the holiday time, he would try to make sure all children, also less fortunate adults, had some type of gift. It probably wasn't like 10, 15, 20, 30 gifts, but at least one gift, so that it could at least make them a little bit more cheerful, a little bit more in the spirit. And it was basically, I believe, a small village. Let's see here. I believe it was a small village in Turkey, where he would, hold on guys, I'm just making sure I got my thing lined up. Okay, yeah, the camera. He was basically in a small little area in Turkey, and he would, I believe, build his own little gifts for kids, and even some cases adults, build things that he would think that they could use, that they would need and enjoy. And St. Nicholas would deliver those to these people's homes where these people lived. I'm sure, again, since this was so many years ago, the times were obviously way different than today. Obviously, he wasn't getting on their roof and climbing down their chimney or anything like that. But, he would probably deliver it to their, I don't know, maybe in person to their door, or leave it on their doorstep. But he was, that's basically how the whole Santa Claus, Kris Kringle things got started, with St. Nicholas. Yeah, St. Nicholas was real. He even kind of looked a little bit like Santa Claus, the way we know Santa today. Not exactly, though. I mean, he did, in a lot of his portraits of him, have a beard, a white beard. Some of his images, he had a red robe on, and others he wore green. But very similar. When we think of Santa Claus today, we think of his beard, the white beard. We think of his red, outfit. And ironically, what are the Christmas colors? Green and red. Well, Saint Nick did wear occasionally green and red robes, clothing. So it was definitely, Christmas and Santa Claus was definitely inspired 100%, obviously, by Saint Nicholas, the real Saint Nicholas. And that's pretty impressive. He lived 73 years, considering back in those times. I mean, he was born, let's see, like I said, in the year 270, and then passed away in the year 343, age 73. So, I mean, he probably, back in those times, that was probably considered a really long lifetime, 73 years. It's ironic, he was born on March 15th. I don't know if they know this for sure, the exact month and day, but at least this is what it says. He was born March 15th, which is actually 3 days after my birthday. And then he died on December the 6th, 12/6 of 343. It's so weird saying those years, 343. So yeah, the real St. Nicholas came only a couple hundred years after Christ. If you followed the Bible or believe in the Bible, I mean, that's crazy to think about that. Man, he was basically, hell, his grandparents probably, or great grandparents probably knew a lot about the days of Christ. But anyways, guys, yeah, I just thought I'd do a fun video. A few different people have asked me about this topic, about Santa Claus, and I always thought, man, that's like really something that was kind of up my wheelhouse, because I've always been kind of a weird fanatic of the whole myth / truth / reality of Saint Nicholas, Santa Claus. Now, no, no, I'm not saying Santa Claus as we know him on television, in the movies. I'm not saying he's real. That's the fictional part. That's all fictional. But yeah, Saint Nick really was real. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about this, but I just thought it was really cool, the details of Saint Nicholas, and I didn't realize that he loved to help out pretty much everybody. It wasn't just children. He enjoyed helping everybody out with whatever wealth he had. And he was one of those guys that he was very privileged. He was very privileged. But instead of just taking that privilege and wealth and, keeping it all to himself and living a life of luxury, he wanted to give as much back to the community and to society and to less fortunate, poor children, poor adults, poor women that was doing all kinds of crazy stuff just to make a living. And so, yeah, the real Saint Nick was kind of similar, very similar to the fictional Santa Claus, fictional Santa. But yeah, see, and another reason I wanted to talk about this, and I thought this was a great request, by the way. Lots of people, when they think of Christmas, you got the religious aspect, the Christian aspect, Jesus Christ, and then more of the child aspect, the kids, Santa Claus. Kids mainly think more about Santa. The adults kind of tend to focus more on Christ when it comes to Christmas. But reason why I wanted to do this is, and discuss this is, lots of people get the whole thing kind of twisted around. They give Santa Claus a bad rap. Santa, you spell it Santa. Santa. Well, if you rearrange the letters, and lots of people love to do this, they refer to him as Satan. It could spell out Satan, like the devil. I don't think people should, I don't know, I just think people get too obsessive over that kind of stuff. Is it a coincidence, though, that we, in more modern times, in a commercial time, gave him the name Santa? Although it is pretty much basically like a short, it's almost like they replaced Saint Nicholas with Santa Claus. But I think the Santa is still another, like, I guess you could call it not an abbreviation, but like a word change for saint. But a lot of people twist it around, and they like to turn it into more of a darker side, like, oh, Santa is actually Satan. When in reality, I feel like when people do that, they're kind of spitting all over the real Saint Nicholas. Because anyone that knows about the real Saint Nicholas, he was definitely not an evil person. He was not an evil bad guy or anything like that. He was the opposite of that. So in a way, I kind of feel like people smear Saint Nick's name when they start saying stuff like Santa is Satan, Santa's evil, blah, 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 Maybe the commercial Santa, hey, want to take it a step further, maybe the commercial Santa is evil. I don't really know. I guess the commercial Santa does represent big businesses and money and selling, toys, so I don't know. But the real Saint Nicholas was anything but evil. I mean, the real Saint Nicholas was a very good, caring man. Very caring man. Obviously, he was a very loving person. The real Saint Nicholas. So, I just found that really interesting, and I'll probably do more videos on similar topics like this, like Santa Claus, because I wanted to also do this request that you guys gave me was a great idea, but I wanted to also talk more about, on a different video, the commercialized version of how Santa Claus, the way we perceive him today and the way he was created by these big businesses like Coca-Cola. He actually is their mascot. Santa Claus is the mascot of Coca-Cola. I wanted to discuss more about how the meaning of Santa Claus was just totally corrupted for the worse, and that people should never mix the two up, the real Saint Nick with the Santa Claus of today that we call Santa Claus. So yeah, guys, I think that's gonna do it. I have fun doing this video. This has been a fun one. And also, if you guys want me to do any more requests for you, like this requested video that I'm doing, you could email me or leave me a comment down below in the comment section, giving me a request for a video that you would like for me to do on various subjects, like this subject, St. Nicholas, and many other subjects. Well, guys, I am going to end this stream, or I'm sorry, video. I keep wanting to say stream because I'm so used to doing streams, but you guys know what I'm talking about. When I say stream, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, guys, that's it. You guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and peace out.